Bersai kuseresu yabahudu Gao I-An Yuksami melawasunan Bersai kuseresu yabahudu Gao I-An Yuksami melawasunan Yabahudu Gao I-An Sovek balai hia Lama vinagak Kesyakumamu Muakula.
Hi, and welcome to In Taiwan We Speak. I am Alexander Shin, and today in Taiwan we speak Tayal, also known as Taiyan or Atayal. It's the language of the Tayal people, one of Taiwan's largest indigenous communities whose homeland covers mountain ranges of central and northern Taiwan. So in the upcoming 3-part series, we will be talking about the Tayal language as well as histories of colonialism that have affected both the language and its speaking community. My today's guest is Dr. Wasiq Silan, a Tayal community activist and social science researcher. Greetings, Wasiq, and thank you for joining me here.
Yo, lokot ako matasay lalu muka Wasiq Silan maku kalang ulay. 大家好, hello. You know, I grew up in the mountains. I tend to speak very loud.
So that you're heard.
I know, I'm heard on the other side of the mountain.
This song that you sang for us in the beginning, it's really beautiful, and I think for a second I just disappeared into the mountains.
Yo, thank you so much.
So tell us please, what was that about?
Yeah, so the song is about... It's a speaking to God. As you know, Christianity plays a very important role in the communities, especially the Taiwan people. So the song is about, Dear God, Jesus, please water us with your Holy Spirit. And it's basically having this oral tradition because the first part of the song is about speaking to the God and then saying that please come to us. And then the second part of the song is that God respond by when you are ready, then I am there with you. So like it's a Berchai Sereyasu. It's a song that is very much loved by the community, older people, and it's also sung by an older man in my family who passed away last year, and then he used to sing this song to his wife until the last day of his wife's life, and it's still like a very powerful song that kind of gives you a purpose and strength to go on. So I'm very happy
really
to share this song.
It's really touching and heartwarming.
Yes.
Thank you so much for bringing it here. And it's the first song on our show, and I'm extremely happy that it was in Tayal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, you are an indigenous community activist and a social science researcher, right?
Yes.
But could you tell us more about yourself, please?
Okay, I was born and raised in Ulai, so it's a small village of around 6,000, 7,000 people in the mountainous area. That's about 20 minutes from Xindian. It's
very close.
Yes, it is very close. So it's actually, compared to other indigenous villages, my village Ulai, it's a kind of like a special case because you can basically go to the community and come back to the city in one day. Basically, I got my education in northern part of Taiwan, in Taipei, and then I got this government money to go abroad, so that kind of opened a new opportunity for me to learn new things. So I relocated to Finland, and I started my master's and then also PhD, and then I had my postdoc, and now I relocated back to Taiwan.
Now, one more thing about you is that you have 2 names. One with which I presented you, Wasiq, and another one is I-An, which is a Mandarin name, right?
Yes.
So, did you grow up with both of them?
No, I didn't. So I grew up with I-An, And actually, I grew up with a different family name as well. So when I was born, I was given the name Rti English. And Chen is from my father's father, so my grandfather, paternal grandfather, 爷爷. And so it basically means like easygoing and safe. And it was also a celebrity back in the days when everybody knows that there's a person called Chen Yi because she won the Olympics. So so I was given the name. But then I kind of reclaimed my indigenous name Washa when I started my PhD because I got a chance, and it was really privileged to be able to come back to the community and accompany my grandmother. And then I kind of drag her into this community church where they had this cultural health station where the government has pulling a lot of money to kind of give active aging programs to the community members. And during that period of time, which is like 5 years to 9 years, like depending on how you calculate it, I started to think that maybe I should use the name that she gave me instead of this English name that I had been using, and also like thinking about my identity also. So I started to use more Wasiq Silan just 2 years ago, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. And last year I add Wasiq Silan on my ID card. And then so it's also visible in my passport.
So now you have two names on your Taiwanese ID card.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, speaking about your last name though, Silan, did you inherit it or was it also newly created?
No, it's my dad's name. So in the Taiwan communities, we have a daughter of whose daughter, like whose son. So my dad's name is Silan. So my name is Wasiq Silan. And my dad's name is Dali. So his name is Silan Dali.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the language, Tayal language.
Okay.
In which you sang the song for us.
Yes.
And you also greeted us in that language. Now,
Yep.
which dialect was that?
It's called Skulek Dayan. So it's the biggest group among all the other Dayan subgroups. And I actually am not a very fluent speaker, although that I'm actually trying to reclaim the language. But I decided to still come out of the closet in a way that I want to show to other people who are also on this journey that they are not alone, and we define who Indigenous is and who we are by trying to reclaim our where we are on this journey. So yes, it's a Skulek Dayan, and I am at the moment still very actively learning the language.
And did your family speak it when you were a kid?
Well, my grandmother spoke it when she spoke to other family members who are Indigenous people. But because I came from a mixed family, both of my grandfathers, they're from China. They're the 外省人, the mainlanders. And my maternal grandmother, 外婆, she's a Hakka. And my mom is a Hakka. So when I was growing up, I didn't hear Dayan spoken in the house, although that you can kind of hear it as a background sound, and it's always kind of brought memory and a sense of warmth to me, but then I cannot actively produce the language. And actually for my dad, it was kind of a similar situation. So my grandmother didn't speak Dayan language to my dad or any of her children. For it's not practical. Who is ever going to use this language? You should focus your energy into learning a more useful language. So it's a very encouraging to see that my father is actually reclaiming his language, and it also impact me on how
Also,
I approach.
your father's also on the journey of learning.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask, how is your Hakka?
My Hakka is very, very bad. But my mom is a native speaker of Hakka, so I feel like I'll try to extract more Hakka language from her, because I could just ask her and then she would just like, oh yeah, this is Tifon. I was like, oh, Tifon, you actually pronounce it Tifon. It's so cool. And it's a little bit similar to Mandarin Chinese, so it's easier to remember. And I think I should just be more active and then try to talk with my mom more.
Right. I also know that you speak Finnish, and
Yo.
I assume fluently.
It's better than...
If it's ever possible to speak Finnish
I know.
fluently.
yeah. It's passable. Yeah, it's intermediate. I got an intermediate level exam, and I can try to talk with not talkative Finnish people with my intermediate Finnish.
Now, you mentioned that for you, Tayal language brings back memories of your childhood, right? What other feelings are associated with it?
It made me very relaxed in the sense that the Mandarin Chinese for me is a very school, formal education kind of language, and everything needs to be more precise. But Taiyan is used in everyday life. And then this life is also very closely connected with family, with culture, with who these people are. And then they are usually very humorous. And then they have a really nice sense of humor. And so, yeah, it also brought me like a kind of inspired me that part of myself.
If you could select 5 Tayal words or phrases that have had the biggest impact on you personally, what would those be?
Yeah, this is a very important question. I will first select, of course, like from my research, and I am very interested to find out how do indigenous Taiwan people conceptualize care. And I realized like in Taiwan language, we say malahang or malahang or malahang. So it's a care that is not necessarily bonded by bodies, but it's also kind of a custodianship, environment-oriented kind of care, like guardianship. And also it kind of underlines also your responsibility in the wider world and then in the wider kinship system. So yeah, I think the first word is definitely malahang. And then the second one is probably jisan. Jisan is like to pay someone a visit or to talk or to chat. So I think it really underlines this storytelling tradition of the Taiwan people, and also like really our language is embedded in a kind of relation, very different layers of relations. Without the relationship, the language does not exist. And
What
I
was
think
the word again? Sorry?
jisan.
Jisan.
So some people say jisal, some people say jisan. Depends on where you are in the Taiwan territory.
Also, just like the name of the language, Tayal, some people call it Tayan.
Yes.
Oh, so N versus L on the end is just regional
Yes.
variations.
Yes. That's a very good observation.
Yeah, because I see this, the name of the language represented by different words in different places. So it makes one wonder what's up.
Yo, that's true.
Yeah.
And then like you mentioned Taiyan. So I think actually Taiyan could be also one of the important words, because I have heard my dad and other elders saying that the word Taiyan is actually consists of ta, yal, and then ta, you can kind of see it as mita, which is to see, and yal, you can see it as rahia, which is the land. So you kind of see and then kind of understand and kind of like encompass the land, kind of also make Taiyan a Taiyan. So I think that is also a very nice word to know.
What's your word number 4?
Oh, word number 4. Okay, I think I will share this word from the song, because
Alright.
these are very important words. Yaba Utu Gayan. So Yaba Utu Gayan is like a Jesus. So Yaba is Father, Utu is this omnipresent spirit, Gayan is sky. So it's Father in the sky who governs us. So this is like kind of used in Bible as Jesus, but then it actually have a wider meaning. And the last word I think it's super cool is this word sere. So sere is actually from Japanese. Sere is like 圣灵, Holy Spirit, but it's used very much in the church circles, and it's also kind of adopted into Taiwan language. So yeah, so these are my 5 words.
So I can see that some of the words actually have a relation to, some biblical or Christian tradition, but they also used to have a meaning in pre-Christian Tayal communities, right?
Yeah. I am not a linguist, so I cannot say it very clearly, but definitely when the missionaries came into the communities, they kind of try to kind of fit these 2 different worlds together. And during the assimilation time, these Christian people and the text, they are actually very important anchors to help people to see like, oh, our language actually exists in this way. So Christian process, texts, Bibles, they are a very important part of reconstructing Taiwan language in the contemporary society that we live today.
Tayal is classified as an endangered and vulnerable language according to the UNESCO World Atlas of Languages in Danger. Are you hopeful that perhaps someday this situation will change?
Yeah, I think anybody who is doing this kind of activism or is trying to save the language, you will have like a more hopeful outlook of how the language will be. But it depends on what we do now and then how do we engage with different generations and also different knowledge systems and then different actors at different levels. So I think, of course, we should hope for the best, but then we need to also be more realistic in how we approach it.
Thank you, Wasiq. We've reached the end of our episode, but we will continue our conversation next week. Join us on Tuesday as we talk about Wasiq's work on decolonizing care. Thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Oleg, and this was In Taiwan We Speak, your audio guide to Taiwan's mind-blowing linguistic diversity. See you next week.